Are you ready?
Of course.
Okay, perfect. Hi everyone, welcome to this interview session that we will have today together with Daniel Larsson at Kronans Apotek. It's a great pleasure to have you here, Daniel.
Thank you.
Yeah. Today we are going to look closer into how Kronans Apotek was affected by COVID-19 in in early spring, end of winter here in Sweden. We're going to look into how Kronans Apotek and their work was affected, challenges that you faced, learnings that you could take away from it. Of course, the pandemic is still ongoing, unfortunately, but the situation was very, very special and it was a tough situation for you and for many other companies and people around the world. But before we get there, my name is Mattias Schlyter. I am responsible for the Nordic operations at Klevu. At Klevu, we do offer AI-driven navigation tools such as on-site search and category navigation. I do think that is the main things you need to know about me right now. The star in the room and the most interested person right now is Daniel Larsson at Kronans Apotek. So are you ready to get this started?
Of course.
Brilliant. And even though that you are the most interesting person in the room, I don't think that everyone in the audience are familiar with who you are. So would it be okay for me to ask you to describe a little bit about yourself and what you do at Kronans Apotek?
Of course. My name is Daniel, and I've been working here for 2 years now, and I work as a content and SEO manager at Kronans Apotek's eCommerce. And so basically my work is to develop our contents and getting more organic traffic from Google to our site and finding new customers. I also work with on-site search and with our campaign and copywriting.
Okay, brilliant. I'm sure a lot of people in the audience already know about Kronans Apotek. You guys are one of the biggest and most successful pharmacies in Sweden. But I know that there's also people outside the Nordics and outside of Sweden that are maybe not as familiar with Kronans Apotek. So do you mind letting us know a little bit more about what you are, what you guys do, etc.?
Of course, we are the third largest pharmacy chain in Sweden.
Yeah.
We have 325 pharmacies around the country, and also a very fast-growing online channel where I am working, basically.
Yeah.
So our vision is health for life, and we want to help our customers throughout their lifetime with their health. And to do so, we secure safe distribution of pharmaceutical products, and we do so through our pharmacies and our e-commerce.
All right, it's a important role in the society to have.
Very much so.
So thank you for that. But on a more serious note, of course, COVID-19 happened. It is still ongoing, as said, and a lot of people are still in a very difficult situation in Sweden and all over the world, of course. But I assume that when COVID started earlier this year, that it was kind of a tough situation for Kronans Apotek in many ways. Can you tell us more about how it was for you?
Yeah, well, of course, the biggest change were that our digital channels or our e-commerce grew very fast, of course, because people relied on home delivery and being able to do their purchases at home. So that was the biggest change. Our pharmacies are and still will be very, very important, but our e-commerce grew very fast and have continued to do so. But we also saw a very big change in demand for new products or different kind of products than usual, as I know that you're going to talk about soon.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's a lot of interesting topics there. But let's start with the change in behavior, or maybe not always in behavior on the website, but also people that didn't really purchase things and pharmaceuticals online before. Did you see a lot of change there?
Well, we started changing our customer groups, and especially one customer group, which were the people over 65 years old. And basically because, as I mentioned, the a lot of people relied on home delivery, and these people relied on it even more.
Right.
So that customer group grew very fast, and especially online for us, because they couldn't go to pharmacies and they needed to get their products delivered home, basically.
But was that mainly one gender or another, or was it both?
It's a
Women,
little
men?
bit more men actually. That's pretty even though. But the most important thing, or the most interesting thing, were that this customer group over 65, they grew very fast, and they found our e-commerce because of the pandemic, and they needed to get their products delivered home, basically.
Right. So of course the physical stores lost a bit because of this, but the e-commerce store then filled that gap in a way. So
Yeah, pretty much. We try to, but the physical stores, or our pharmacies, as we call them, they are still very, very important to us, and they will continue to be. But of course, the e-commerce had to take some of their customers to help them as well.
Right. Were there any? I mean, with the changed behavior on the website, the new people being there. Were there a lot of changes that you had to do on the website?
We had to change our communications several times because of everything happened so fast, and we saw a very big change in demand for products. As everyone knows, hand sanitizers and mouth guards were requested very, very much, very fast. Basically overnight, hand sanitizer were like that our top keyword in our on-site search on our site. So things happen very, very quickly, and we had a lot of challenges with delivery, with stock availability for these products, because people bought them very, very fast, and as soon as we got them, they basically run out of stock. So we had to communicate to our customers why we didn't have them, or why they weren't available, and we needed to communicate about the pandemic in general as well.
Right. I see. And how did you go about doing this? I mean, communicating. You can do that in a lot of different ways, of course. Do you have any concrete examples?
Yeah, a few. First of all, we put up a landing page about COVID-19, which ranked very high on Google. We got a lot of traffic through there, and also we had this on our starting page, and we communicated this landing page through our on-site search. We had a banner in the flyout, so when you start to type a related keyword to COVID-19, then you would see this banner, and then you could get this information as well. We also
so people could click on the banner and
exactly
get to that landing page.
Exactly. So we try to reach as many customers as possible with this landing page to inform them about the pandemic. So we also used email, of course, and other channels as well. And we also used other features in our search, like URL redirects. So when people search very specific for Corona information, then we would send them directly to this landing page instead of using.
How does that work if I'm searching for, let's say, Corona? I don't know why. Well, maybe you do search for Corona on Apotek's on-site search, but if I'm searching for something, and do I need to press enter or something?
Yes, if you search that term and then you press enter, then you would end up directly on this landing page on the search terms that we had chosen, because of we analyzed what terms were searched the most and which terms were related to information, where people looking for information and not for products, and that's when we used that feature.
Okay, so you analyzed the search behavior and acted accordingly.
Exactly.
In a way. Okay, well that's okay. Great stuff. Anything else you did to meet this behavior? If we look closer at the on-site search, of course the demand for certain products that you before didn't really think would be in such a high demand, suddenly, as you said, overnight, hand sanitizers and face masks, the demand increased rapidly. How did you handle that stock-wise?
Well, we had out-of-stock messages on those search terms. So if you search for hand sanitizers and we didn't have any, then you would see a specific message that would tell you basically why and when we thought we would get them back. So, but we also what you need to know is that our on-site search, it's the most common way to navigate on our site. So to communicate there is very important because that's how you reach most customers basically on our e-commerce. So on hand sanitizers and mouth guards and other very specific Corona-related search terms, we used these specific messages so people would know why they couldn't buy them at that specific time.
Right, because the normal thing would of course be to say something along, sorry we don't have this right now, or sorry we couldn't find what you were looking for because these products are out of stock, and if they're out of stock they're not visible on the website.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Okay, that's very helpful.
Yeah, so we tried to explain it even further, and then we also had a link to our information page about COVID-19 so they can read more there as well.
Okay, well that's a lot of ways to communicate only through on-site search.
Yeah, very much.
Yes. Okay, so okay, we're going back to the changed behavior on the website. Could you find anything else, since you are analyzing a lot of behavior, etc.? Like maybe not only on on-site search. Was there anything else that you saw?
And is in particular you're thinking about?
No, not really. It's a question for you, but we can move on. I think we maybe covered everything.
Yeah.
But something else that I was thinking about was, well, of course, if we look at Klevu as a solution, we are using artificial intelligence to always stay relevant, and there are a lot of other really good search solutions out there on the market, like Loop54 and Aptus, and yeah, there's a lot of good solutions together with Klevu, and of course other solutions in other areas as well, like Nosto with product recommendations and other things. Was this something that you used in any way?
Well, the AI, as you're talking about, is always important because it's learning the customer's behavior over time. So
right.
It's always important in search and on landing pages and stuff like that, because it will give you a personalized website basically, and it will show the customers what other customers have bought and so on. So it's very important because it's learning the customer's behavior, and then we can just tweak it a little bit. But the AI is always important, and during the pandemic it was important as well.
Right. Okay. So, of course, with the new kind of searches like hand sanitizers and face masks, that would previously not end up as high up as in the search result when they were relevant, would now suddenly be on top of the search results because that is what the people are looking for right now.
Exactly.
Okay. And yeah. Okay. Cool. Did you do anything more to? I mean, did you rely fully on this, or did you tweak it in any way, or did you?
We tweaked it in some ways, but not that much actually. We didn't really have to because the AI took care of it for us, but we had the possibility to boost products or deboost products, or if you want to show a specific brand higher or something like that. That's basically, we try to let the AI do its work.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. And of course, as mentioned, this has been a tough time for many, and some companies has of course had very little to do. I'm thinking about people in the events business, for example. You can't be more than just a few number of people in the same room, etc. So it's very difficult to exist right now doing those kind of things. For Kronans Apotek, it was a little bit the opposite. I mean, people were throwing themselves over whatever was in stock that was related to Corona, and that forced you or created a lot of challenges for you, and forced you to work very hard. I'm sure you already work very hard, but work even harder maybe. So and with all these kind of challenges, and when you have to work really hard, you achieve a lot of learnings and you reach a lot of learning. So I'm really happy that you're sitting here today and sharing those with us. It's very nice of you. And I'm thinking, are there any other learnings or tips and tricks that you would like to share with the audience?
You mean like in general for e-commerce?
Yeah. I mean, it is a very, very broad question. So it's really up to you if you have anything that you would like to share.
Yeah, from my perspective, I work with content and SEO, and of course SEO is very important for all e-commerces because that's how you gain traffic organically. And SEO is very much about having patience because it's a long time work, and I think everyone knows what SEO is, but to do SEO in a good way, you need to have a plan and you need to prioritize, because if you have a big e-commerce like we do with thousands of pages, thousands of products, you need to prioritize what's important and when during the year, because the things I'm working on now, they will rank high in Google maybe in 3, 4, 5 or 6 months. So you need to work in long term, and you need to know what to do and what's important for you in 3 or 6 months, basically. That's what you need to do right now. So your ability to prioritize when it comes to content will be fundamental for your e-commerce to grow organically, because you can't do it all at once. If you have a really big e-commerce, it's just not possible. So that's really important for all e-commerces to SEO, to analyze your SEO, of course, but the most important thing is to actually do it. The productivity is more important. To analyze it, it's pretty easy, but you actually need to get it done. You need to get a lot of work done. That's the hardest thing about SEO.
Right. So do you have experience yourself when you maybe realized that you have maybe analyzed too much and not done enough?
Of course.
Yeah, I guess you have to do that kind of mistake to really learn from it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit so, I think.
Okay, cool. Anything else?
Well, I think we have mentioned the onsite search a lot here, but I think it's really important not to just see what people are looking for. It's also, onsite search can be so much more than just searching for products, and I think that's important because on our website, it's the most common way to navigate, as I told you before. And I think it's the same way for a lot of other e-commerces as well. So you need to look at it more than just a search engine. You can use it for communication, and you can develop it a lot. We're not perfect, but it's getting better and better, and we have a lot of things that we want to improve, of course. But I think you need to analyze it, and you can use it for other things as well. You can see what are people searching for, when they're finding nothing, basically. Are they searching for brands that you don't have? Well, then maybe you should take that brand into your e-commerce, stuff like that. So it's a lot of data there that you can analyze and do other stuff with, and just look at what's converting and not.
Right. Yeah, and I definitely follow you there, and I agree with you fully. I know that with the people that I work with, that is one of the probably easiest features that we have, like in the analytics. Just seeing all the keywords that generate 0 search results. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, exactly.
To get that kind of data, but it's so valuable to see. Okay, these keywords are being searched about, generating 0 results, and of course creating a bad user experience or a bad experience for the shoppers.
Because you have nothing there, so
So of course you can set a synonym, say okay, every time someone is searching this, also search for this, and then you've solved the issue in that way. That's very helpful. But of course you're sitting here as head of content at Kronans Apotek. Do you have any other views on the importance of content?
I think especially in our industry, the pharmaceutical industry, content can really be a form of a trust. It's a place where you can give your customers advice or stuff like that, because that's something it's hard to do online if you compare to a pharmacy. You can go in there and you can ask your pharmacist for advice and stuff like that. So content can be very important, not just because you want to get traffic by SEO and Google and stuff like that. It's important because some customers want to read information before they buy stuff. They don't know what to have for what problem and stuff like that. So content is not only marketing, it's also a trust thing. So content is important in a lot of ways, I think.
Absolutely. So people realizing that you're not only a reseller of products, you're actually a good source of information and knowledge. And of course, it will create trust. I remember when I saw this the first times, not at Kronans Apotek, it was at other stores, but I think I was searching for a leather jacket, for example, and together with the products, it was also presenting content saying how to take care of your leather jacket. Same thing when I was searching at a company called Pi Skincare. They're selling a lot of creams, etc., like skin creams. And I was just searching for hand, and then one of the pieces of content that came out was how to take care of like dry hands from using sanitizers all the time. So it was really, useful, because what we do now is using hand sanitizers all the time, and it creates dry skin, for example. So yeah, it really, I assume that it can really enrich the experience.
Very much so, and it's also, if you're looking at SEO, a lot of e-commerce are focusing on the products, getting them right, with the data and stuff like that, and that's of course very important. But if you also had advisory pages where you can explain different, if you're in my business, then you can explain different problems, maybe with your skin or something like that, and then you can rank on totally other kinds of different keywords, and then they will find your e-commerce. So it's also a way to get new customers, because they will get trust when they read your information, and then they probably will buy from you as well.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. I think that's great tips. Another thing that I was thinking about was, I didn't mention this in the beginning of this interview, but I was working at one of the biggest consultancy firms, e-commerce consultancy firms before this, at Columbus. It was called iStone before. And something that I learned there was that a lot of the tools that are being used by e-commerce stores, etc., using artificial intelligence especially, are a little bit of like black boxes. There could be a really good AI engine in there, but there's only so much that you can do if you want to affect it or change it or tweak it in any way. So I wanted your thinking of or your thoughts on this. Do you agree that this is important to be able to tweak and do changes, or would you rather fully rely on the artificial intelligence?
I think you need both. I rely on AI very much, but not 100%, because you need to tweak some search results. I always keep an eye on the most maybe 100 search terms that we have, and make sure they are providing the results that we want. But sometimes you need to tweak it, and sometimes, especially during the pandemic, then when we get out of stock for especially hand sanitizers, we needed to manually sync the search catalog to get them out there as quickly as possible. So I think you need both. AI is learning the customer's behaviors, but you also need to tweak, or you need to, if you want to boost your own brand or something like that on your e-commerce, then you need to have those features as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we've learned this a lot from other clients as well, that the artificial intelligence is great. I mean, personalization and everything, it's super useful. It makes life a lot easier for someone running an e-commerce store. But as you say, there are certain aspects that an AI-driven search, for example, usually don't consider. Like maybe you want certain products to be on top because they have better margin for you, or maybe they have a specific stock level that, okay, then it makes sense to boost these products to be on top, even if they are not the most popular ones, just because you want them to be more top of mind or something like that. Makes sense. Okay, before we wrap this up, we won't take too much more of your time. Is there anything else that you think we have missed, or anything that I have not asked for?
I don't think so. I think if people have questions, then maybe they can contact us afterwards.
Of course, absolutely. I'm going through my notes to see if there's anything I've forgotten. I don't think so. I think we went pretty deep into all of the areas that we wanted to speak about. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. It's been really interesting, and I hope that you people in the audience have snapped up on the insights and the learnings that you have given us today. I hope you find it useful. And with that said, of course, if you have any questions, please reach out to daniel.larsson@kronansapotek.se. That's fairly simple. The more difficult one is probably Mattias.Schlyter at Klevu.com, but that will be a task for you, a challenge for you. But I think with that said, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you, the people in the audience, for listening, and we wish you a really, really good continuation of your NES day. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.